I want to tell about some of my experience with a national lender. And Milt told his horror story. I had a deal I was going to sell, and someone brought a national lender to me, and they had a pre-approval letter. And I'm thinking, okay, I hadn't really dealt with this lender before, but they got a pre-approval letter. That should be good enough. We're going to close in 7 or 10 days. Should be an issue. And then they wanted to extend the closing, and they wanted another it was a week, and they want to extend a few more days. Like, what's going on? What's going on here? Then they couldn't get the funding. And so it's like that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth with this other, it was a national lender. I don't want to name names. And sure enough, it was less than a year later, their name came back. It was a pre-approval letter. And I said, guys, I don't want to close you guys. Use any other lender. Like, what do you mean other lender? I go, literally any other lender in the world. I said, just had a bad experience. They well, that's who we're pre-approved with. That's who. I was like, well, if you can close within 7 days, we'll use them. But there's no extensions. There's not any addendums. I'm telling you, you should take
There would be fake deposit.
Actually, Bill, you and I are working on one that it didn't work out. Right now, we're working on one that didn't work out with
National, yes.
the National, and Milton and I are closing that, I think, early next week, right?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So it happens all the time. On the way over here, a guy had a 7-house package, clear to close for the Thursday. So in 2 days, lender just yanked it out.
Oh,
I got it driving over here. Hopefully we can close it. But you've heard the horror stories now. These guys are very sophisticated investors. Be careful with that.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just really interesting. So when you're talking about hard money, I want to kind of get into some of the differences between traditional bank lending and hard money lending. And so many times it seems like the traditional bank is underwriting both the person and the deal. And hard money underwrites more so the deal and the person. And there is a difference. Can you get into that?
There is a difference. So with the banks, you're going to have very stringent guidelines. You need a certain credit score. You need a big 20% down payment. You're going to need certain assets. And if you don't fit in the box, you're not going to qualify. And then it also takes you 45 days to 30 or 45 days to close the loan.
Right.
And they will look at you individually as an individual. And then they're going to look at the house and get an appraisal. And like Noble said, they'll look at you, make sure you qualify. Look at the house, make sure it qualifies. Hard money does the same, but like Milton said, we lean a little bit more toward the collateral, which is the house. We're also going to look at the same things they look at: income, assets, credit, and your experience. So for Hampton or Milton, if they brought a deal that they buy for 100 and it's a huge 125 reno, they're proof of that, no problem. But we're more subjective. If a new person comes to SurePoint who's just watched HGTV and thinks every deal you make 50,000 on,
and they always get it done within a half hour.
half an hour,
Breaks everything.
right, make 50 grand in a half hour. If that person comes to us, we're going to say, let's hold on that, because you can lose a lot of money on one of those big renovations. Even experienced people like these guys, it's hard to estimate 125K reno. 25 to 50K, cosmetic, that's one that Milton brought to me. Newer guy, flooring, cabinets, bathroom. Anybody can handle that. And of course, Milton, as Investor Tribe, is going to oversee it. So that gives me great confidence too. So we look at the same things at the bank, but in a different way. Debt ratio, you got to hit 45%. That's income, debt divided by your income. We don't have the debt ratio. We know people like us are self-employed. We all write out things legally, but our top line's great and our bottom line is always terrible. So I know guys who live in $500,000 houses and their income shows me $18 in it last year. I know that's not true. We look past that, as other hard money lenders do. The banks have their guidelines. They take the $18 divided by your income, and it's never going to work. So we look at it differently. Credit, we don't have a minimum credit score. We look at it all together. Experience is subjective. If you want something big, you're going to need more experience. If you're looking for something cosmetic, anybody can handle that. So that's not a problem. So there's no hard and fast rules with us like the bank. They require a bigger down payment. They require 45 days, and we're much easier to work with. We qualified your guy in about 8 minutes, didn't we? Milton, the other day? You came in.
It took 2 weeks to get the paperwork in because he's not technically savvy and all that kind of stuff.
So, but we look like he was ready to be a first all that green light. He wasn't ready.
So once we literally got all the paperwork in, it was super fast. And so that's the key, right? You know, it's just being able to get everything to you and get everything